Hey everybody, it's Dr. Joe and handsome Mr. Bear. And today for this live streaming video, even though it's pre-recorded, so I can chat with you in the live chat as we go along, we're going to do some stretches to relieve hip pain. So we're just going to do the main muscle groups, the quads, the hamstrings, the IT band, and the hip flexor. So I know there's a lot more, but we're going to go through all of those and we're going to do it in real time and do all the stretches with the time suggested. So you're going to need a stretch strap. If you don't have a stretch strap, you can use a dog leash or you can use a belt or a rope, but make sure it's something solid because you're going to be doing stretching with it. So not like a resistive band. So with these stretches, they're going to be the traditional holding it for 30 seconds and then doing that 3 times on each side. And as always, make sure you check with your doctor before starting any stretches or exercises. And if it hurts, stop. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to talk a little bit about the stretches as we go along. I'm going to get my timer ready for the 30 seconds and I'm going to grab my stretch strap. Now there's different ways you can stretch your quads. I like doing the one where you're on your tummy or on prone just because then it can keep your thigh in place while you're stretching. So just take the strap, a loop is really nice, then you can put it around your ankle. And I like when it's long because then I can kind of roll over with it, but you want it to be around the ankle area. If it slides a little bit, that's okay. So I'm going to get my timer here ready and start. And all I'm doing is just pulling gently, bringing that heel towards my bottom. Now I'm going to feel stretch kind of in that front thigh area. That's where that quad muscle is. You want there to be tension. You don't want it to be painful, but you want to feel this stretch. So nice, comfortable stretch. I'm propped up on my elbows. If that's stressing your back out a little bit, go ahead and lie all the way down. That's fine as well. But just getting that nice, comfortable stretch. So that was 30 seconds. I'm just going to relax it back down. You don't have to pause for a long time, but just give your muscles just a little bit of time to kind of reset, sometimes 10 seconds or so. It doesn't have to be exact. And then I'm just going back, doing that 30 seconds again. Try and make sure your heel is coming back in like a parallel position with your bottom, so it's not coming over like that or in, just straight up and back, because that's really where you're going to feel that quad stretch. Some people might feel it more in the hip, especially if you're having that hip pain. You might feel it more down at the knee, kind of where the quad tendon is. You might just feel it all over depending on how tight it is. But this is just a nice, good stretch to get that muscle relaxed. So again, you're wanting to stretch the muscle while it's in a relaxed position. So I'm not pulling my leg, I'm letting the strap do all the work. So I'm just kind of giving it that gentle pull. Again, you can pull a little bit more as you go. So if you only can go right there and you're already feeling that stretch, that's great. You don't have to try and pull it as far back as someone else or me. But as you go, sometimes if you get like 20 seconds in, it'll feel like it's releasing, and then you can pull just a little bit more. So I did all 3 on one side. You don't have to, but especially when you're kind of lying on your tummy, switching back and forth is a little tough. So you can switch if you want to, but that takes a little bit of extra time. And then you can then switch and do all the other 3 on the other side. So again, just kind of pulling, getting that nice gentle stretch. Now, again, I know that not everybody is comfortable lying on their stomach, or this might be a really hard position to get in, especially if you're having some hip pain. You can modify these stretches by doing them on your side. You can even do it in standing, getting that quad stretch. But again, I like on my tummy. That's 30 seconds. Because it kind of holds that hip, that thigh straight up and down. If you're on your side, sometimes people want to start bending their hip a little bit, and then that takes away from the stretch a little bit. So you can, that's definitely a way to modify it if this is uncomfortable for your back. And you can also do it standing as well. So if this doesn't quite work for you, you can go check out a bunch of my other videos because I have different ways to do these stretches if this one doesn't quite work for you. But again, it's nice just to, I can relax doing it this way, whereas maybe if you're standing, you have to worry about your balance. If you're on your side, again, you have to worry about that knee and hip coming forward just a little bit. So now we're going to go over and do the hamstrings. So with the hamstring stretch, this time it's going to go kind of around the ball of your foot. It doesn't have to be exact. It just needs to be in a comfortable spot where it doesn't feel like it's going to kind of slip off of your foot. So I like to prop up the other side just because that kind of takes some pressure off of my back. Some people like to put their leg all the way down because they say it gives them more of a stretch. But again, this just takes a little bit of pressure off your back, so I like it propped up. The most important part of the hamstring stretch is try and keep your knee straight. So if you're coming up and your knee is already starting to bend, then you're not going to get the stretch because the hamstrings cross that knee joint. So it's really important to try and get it straight, even if you can only, come up to here for the stretch. So let's go ahead and go that 30 seconds. Just, again, going to your comfort level. But if you get to here and you're trying to pull more and that knee starts bending a little bit, try and straighten it out and then come back down, because again, because the hamstrings cross that knee, if it's bent, you're not going to get quite as good of a stretch in there. And again, you might feel it at your knee, you might feel it at your hip, you might feel it kind of anywhere in between there. And then just nice and slow coming back down. Give those muscles a little bit of a break. Let the foot also relax too. Some people, want to keep those toes up, but then you're kind of engaging the calf muscles down there if you're pulling your toes up. So make sure everything's nice and relaxed. Again, just a short pause, doesn't have to be a big pause, and then coming back up for that stretch. If you can slowly go further, that's great. But again, you should feel a nice stretch. It shouldn't be painful, or it shouldn't be so uncomfortable where you feel like you can't do the whole 30 seconds. While you're waiting, you can pick off some of the dog hair that Bear has left behind, and you can see how relaxed he is with all that stretching. If you are watching me and following along, make sure and give me a shout out. If you feel comfortable, let me know where you're watching from. And then you can even comment on how cute Mr. Bear's bow tie is, or just how cute he is snoozing right there. If you have your own pets, let me know what kind of pets you have and what their names are. If they have any funny quirks, you can also chat about that as well. If you've watched any of my videos, you know that I love animals and that they are awesome. Okay, so then I'm just going to switch sides here and then prop this one up and then go ahead and go into that stretch. And a lot of times with stretching, if you're stretching both sides, you might realize that one is tighter than the other, so you might not be able to bring it up quite as much, or you might find out that it's a lot more flexible than the other side. So even if you only have one side that bothers you, it's really, really good to stretch both sides. So especially when you're stretching your hip area, because they're so closely connected with the pelvis and everything, is really good to stretch both sides. All right, next one. Coming up for the stretch. You can also, if you want to get a calf stretch while you're stretching the hamstrings, if you have it a little bit further on your toes, you can pull your toes downwards as well, and you'll get a calf stretch as well. Some people like that, kind of getting the double stretch, but if you really want to focus on the hamstrings, sometimes I would say relax those toes a little bit, because one might be tighter than the other, and it might just, feel a little more uncomfortable if you're stretching the calf as well. All right. One more on this side. Some people do ask about breathing and how you should be breathing while you're stretching. Really, any way you can to relax. Sometimes the diaphragmatic breathing or the belly breathing is a really great way to relax. But usually I'll just tell people whatever is most comfortable for you, because when you're stretching, you should be very relaxed when you're stretching. So now with the IT band stretch, it's going to look very similar to the hamstring stretch, except this time, instead of propping the other leg up, you're going to need to keep it down, because you're going to cross the leg across your body. Now, the key with this one is when you come up to stretch, you coming up to stretch, Mr. Bear? Yeah, you need a couple little scritches. There you go. When you come up, you want to keep your hip here down. So I see a lot of people when they're stretching their IT band, they'll bring everything up. You'll get a little stretch with that, but you're going to be stretching more of your back if you twist all the way over. So really the key to this one is to keep the hip down when you come up and stretch. So I like to sometimes just place my hand there so I know if it's trying to come up or not. And then all you're going to do is just slowly bring it across your body until you feel a stretch in that IT band area, that TFL area. So let's go ahead and get that started. Here, and then holding it down. Some people like it lower, coming across and getting that stretch in there on that side, again coming all the way up to the TFL, that tensor fasciae lata, which is really what you're stretching. The IT band is a band, it's a tendon. It will get a little bit of a stretch, even though some people say it won't, but really that TFL, that muscle up here, is what you're really stretching. So depending on where your leg is, a little bit lower or a little bit higher, that's going to be up to you. Everybody's just a little bit different. So this time when I come up, I'm going to go a little bit higher for the stretch. But sometimes if you come up really higher and your hamstrings are really tight, you're going to feel it more in your hamstring than the IT band area in that TFL. So you can play around with it a little bit and see which one is the most comfortable for you. And if you have a particular muscle that's the tightest on you, bothering your hips, you can leave that in a comment. Just let me know which one gets you the most. And again, for each of these, I have videos where you can kind of modify these a little bit, because also with the IT band, you can do it a couple of different ways. You can do it lying on your side. You can do a stretch. There's a nice, I call it a ballerina stretch, that you can do standing up, which is a great stretch for that as well. And it gets a couple other muscles when you're stretching it. But again, if you're really tight and you're really sore, lying down really helps, because you can relax the rest of your body and really focus on your stretching. So if you can do that, then at least starting off, that's what I like the best. All right, and then I usually just try to flip it over with the foot like that. If you can do that, that's great. Sometimes the loop might be a little bit too small to do that. You might have to get up and do that. So again, just hitting that, and nice and slow coming over. I can actually feel it a little bit more on my right side today. Usually my left side is the one that gets me the most, but I got a nice good stretch right there. Same thing with the foot, pulling it forward versus relaxing. You know, if you want to get the calf in there a little bit too, you can pull the toes forward. But if you really just want to focus on that IT band, TFL area, just relax that foot. If you like my timer ring, you can also comment on that as well. And there we go, back up. So you can see I'm not really pausing a lot for this one. Again, it doesn't have to be 10, 20 seconds in between each stretch, but you do want to come completely back down and let all those muscles kind of relax and reset for just a few seconds. Again, it can be 3 to 5 if you want to kind of speed things up a little bit, but it doesn't have to be a specific time, but really bring it all the way back down and let those muscles reset instead of just holding it in the same spot. And then for the last one, I'm going to go a little bit lower on this side, just so you can see the little bit lower as well. And again, you know, keeping those hips down is really what's going to get that stretch. If I start leaning over, see that just took away from my stretch a little bit. And now then I'm feeling it a little bit more in my back. So really trying to keep it down and getting that pull over this way. All right. Okay, so now you said, okay, bye, Mr. Bear. That was good. I needed this room anyways. Oh, okay, you're going to stay a little bit. All right. So now for the hip flexor, again, you can stretch the hip flexor in a bunch of different ways. I like the slightly modified way where I'm sitting on the edge of something. It can be a chair, it can be the couch. Depending on the height of your bed, it can be the bed as well. But this just allows you, again, to get a little bit more of a stretch. Then it doesn't have pressure on your knees like a traditional lunge stretch, which you can do. But a lot of times, if people also have knee pain, that putting all that pressure on their knee does hurt just a little bit. So this is the side I'm going to stretch. This is the one where the knee is down. My bottom, the cheek on the other side is what's kind of sitting on the couch right now to take a little bit of pressure off of the area. So with this stretch, the key really is to get your hips into a tilt. And that, what that does is that helps because the hip flexor comes up this way. So you want to get a posterior pelvic tilt to kind of get that stretch. So even without lunging forward, if I tilt my hips like this, I'm already feeling a stretch in that hip flexor. So I'm going to go ahead and start that 30 seconds, getting that nice stretch in there. If you want a little bit more of a stretch, once you do that tilt, then you can lunge forward a little bit more. But if you come out of that tilt, then if you start just lunging forward, you're not going to feel it as much. So really the important part is, I know that's kind of hard to see, but I'm here and I'm tilting everything back. I'm tucking that tailbone in and I'm feeling a nice stretch through that hip flexor right there. And then again, kind of relaxing, you can bring that knee forward a little bit. That will take that tension off of that hip flexor. And then you can go right back into it. And again, tucking that tailbone in, getting that tilt. You can place your hands on your knee here. I like, again, sometimes having my hands on the hip area because I can feel myself doing that tilt. The back leg, kind of in that straightened position. You can turn it in or turn it out to get a little bit different stretch. But starting off just kind of in that neutral straight back position to get that stretch, you'll really feel it. And then if you want to check out some of my other videos to get different stretches, you can. All right, here we go. Again, that nice tilt in there, almost like you're trying to, you know, push the whole bottom area downwards. And you can see almost like where you're slouching just a little bit, and that's what helps get that tilt. And again, I'm feeling a nice stretch right in through there. I'm feeling mine just a little bit more at my knee on my right side, but when we go to my left side, I'll definitely feel it more in my hip on that side. So you might feel it in different places just depending on if there's some tightness somewhere else. And then it's kind of easy. You just shimmy over to the other side, same kind of placement. So now this side, my knee is going to be down. If I could slide it back just a little bit there so it's mostly straight up and down. If not, that's okay. And then I'm just going to tuck again, tuck that tailbone in, get that tilt, and I'm already feeling that nice stretch through there. If I want to lean forward into that lunge position a little bit more, I'm getting a nice stretch there. You can kind of prop your toes up like that, or if you want to put it all the way down, again, you might feel a slight difference there. So if you're not feeling a stretch one way, you can play around with it a little bit where your toe position is, and you might feel a little bit more of a stretch in there. And again, bring it forward just a little bit, let everything relax, come out of that tilt, and then you can go right back into it. And then tucking in. This one's a good one to really kind of focus on your breathing. I know I'm talking through everything, but just trying to throw some fun things at you, some little tips and things, but you know, just getting that nice deep breathing, because this one sometimes is a pretty big stretch, especially if that hip is bothering you. A lot of times the hip flexors are the ones that are giving you some of that pain, and they can also cause a lot of pain in the back as well. So this is a great stretch. Even though you're stretching your hip flexors, if you have some back pain, a lot of times it could be the hip flexors giving you that problem as well. All right. And then last one here, nice big tuck. If I'm kind of pushing the bottom area down a little bit more like that, I'm getting that nice stretch through there. And I don't even have to lunge forward because I'm already getting a good stretch. All right, so stretch out the hips. Hopefully if you have some pain, that helps get rid of that pain, release that tension in there. I'm also going to have some exercises that you can do later, but lots of times when you have that tightness in there, getting it good and stretched out is going to really make it feel better. So again, leave me a comment. Let me know if that felt like it helped. If you, again, have some pups that want to say hi, or some kitties or any other animals, you can, because this is pre-recorded, but it's live, so I can chat with you as we go. So remember, be safe, have fun, and I hope you feel better soon.